Hello and welcome back to the Baseball Podcast. You know what, guys? We're recording this for the second time because Ethan is not happy with my performance in the first one. But you know what? It's still all the same.
I've never been happy with your performance in anything.
Take it easy.
There we go. Hey, listen. So we've been away for a hot minute. You know, things got in the way. Things being,
would you say we were cooling our heels?
Yeah, we were booling, but we were busy not podcasting. We're not at liberty to divulge any.
Wait a minute. I did record an episode with Sean, and you were nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
Oh!
Yeah. And also,
how much more betrayal can I take?
That's what you said to me.
How much more betrayal can I take?
Yeah, I was saying, I'll run it back.
How much more betrayal can I take?
That's what you said to me.
Says
on
Ethan.
That night. I want you to know, okay, this was what, last Wednesday or the Wednesday before that?
I don't know.
It was the Wednesday before that. I want you to know, I had a hell of a game at the plate that day, okay?
No, I don't care about that. Sean was most important.
Mere inches from a 3-homer game. I want you to know that, okay?
Sounds like a run-of-the-mill 2-homer game, pal.
Well, no, because it was mere inches on all of them. But,
sounds like a run-of-the-mill no-homer game.
Yeah, pal. 0-homer game. But you know what? Yeah, I got a story to tell you guys, because close though I was to a 3-homer game, maybe if I put a little bit of extra loft on my swing that day. Yeah, what I did do is something I'd never done before. I stole home in a baseball game.
Oh, Ellie De La Quirk.
Yeah, and you know what?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Do you want to know how I stole home a baseball game?
Yes.
So I come up bases loaded, just casually rip a double off the fence. No big deal. Second and third. Dude on first was dogging it a little bit. Kind of stole an RBI from me. Still a little mad about it, but what are you going to do? Sorry.
What are you going to do?
That's what I meant to say. So anyway, second and third. And you know what happens? But a little old wild pitch. And the guy on third scores. And I've been catching the whole game, and I'm also slow. So I don't move up. So then what happens is the pitcher walks like the next 2-3 batters, something like that. So I'm on third, bases loaded again. And I think the guy on second got picked off. So it's first and third. And the guy on first was dancing off the bag the whole time. He's not like the fastest dude in the world, but, he was keeping them on their toes a little bit. And he decided to just go. But he happened to do that right when they threw behind him again.
Beautiful.
So he is going to second, and the first baseman is standing there with the ball. And I'm leading off third, and I'm like, right? Because I'm like, the second he throws that ball to second base, I'm just going. We're down by a pretty decent number of runs anyway. It turned out that it was the last game of the season for reasons that we won't get into. But I was like, I'm doing it. You know what? I'm feeling it. Let's steal home. So they throw behind him. And the first baseman immediately throws the ball to second base. And I'm like, off. Right? I am off. I was going to say off like a shot. More like I'm off like a shot from a Nerf gun.
Yeah, off like a shot put.
Yeah. So, and I'm off, right? And they take a little bit too long trying to run down this dude at second. And they turn and they go to throw home. And, dude, never had a chance, right? I slide into home, ruined my favorite pair of baseball pants, but you know what?
You got the story.
Your boy stole home. And I want to make this clear, okay, for those of you who don't know. Stealing any base is a little bit of an achievement for me, okay? I stole second one time, on a failed hit and run like a long time ago.
You carried
And
that.
that was that was my only career steal for a long time. Now I got 2, and you know what? I'm very proud of it.
I can move
That's my truth. Okay, I'm sharing my truth with you guys today.
Well, Tom, you know what else is going to be shared with our legions of adoring fans today?
You know what, Ethan? I don't.
Today, our friend and yours, Pepe Muñoz, Secretary General of the Philippine Amateur Baseball Association. I can't believe I remembered that acronym.
Right. Say it again for the louder people. Let's try that again.
Our friend and yours, Pepe
Say it again,
Muñoz,
louder for the people in the back.
Secretary General of the Philippine Amateur Baseball Association,
Okay.
will be explaining to us the history of baseball in the Philippines, what the team, or not the team, I guess I should say, what baseball in the country
organization
now,
yeah.
what the national team has going on. Also, he's going to dive into the seedy underbelly of the World Baseball Classic Qualifiers.
Ooh.
And how they were excluded. I always thought it was they decided to bow out. Evidently not. So stay tuned for the story. But Pepe was just really nice. I emailed him out of nowhere. I think I went on like the WBSC website and just emailed Baseball Philippines and got a hold of him, and he couldn't have been nicer. And he was willing to put up with scheduling this like a month in advance and then actually remembering to do it. So yeah, Pepe was great. He spent a lot of time with us. He was super, super nice. And he gave us a lot of insight into Filipino baseball. So
yeah,
enjoy it.
Yeah. And you know what? Be on the lookout for those sordid details because they're coming.
We're here with Pepe Muñoz. Pepe, give me exactly your title. I don't want to mess it up within Baseball Philippines.
Oh, yeah. Well, currently I'm the Secretary General of the Philippine Amateur Baseball Association.
Okay.
So basically, well, maybe best if I give you a background on Philippine Amateur Baseball Association first.
Perfect.
Right?
So Philippine Amateur Baseball Association was formed in 1954. Okay, and the president of the Philippine Amateur Baseball Association became because in the same year, the Baseball Federation of Asia was established, and the first president was the president of Philippine Amateur Baseball Association, which at that time was an American. His name was Chick Parsons. Okay, and Chick Parsons, had a very interesting background. It's like it was during World War II. He joined the U.S. Army. He was getting orders from General Douglas MacArthur, and from time to time he would travel by submarine from Australia to the Philippines while the Philippines was under Japanese occupation, right? And basically his job was to coordinate the guerrilla forces inside the Philippines, who their main job was to disrupt Japanese logistics, what have you, their activities. And wait just a moment. Okay. And what happened was, after the war, he decided to stay on in the Philippines, and he invested basically in infrastructure in the Philippines, particularly in shipping, right? And he set up that business, and at some point there was a move to establish a very formal baseball organization in Asia, and at the same time to have a formal baseball organization in the Philippines, right? So he formed the Philippine Amateur Baseball Association. Chick Parsons is his name, right? Now, what happened was the Baseball Federation of Asia was established with the Philippines, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. So 4 countries formed it, and so you can see, and the Philippines was pretty much in the forefront. In 1954, they also held the first Asian Baseball Championship, and the Philippines actually won, if you can imagine. Wow. One over Japan, one over Taiwan, one over Korea. So big accomplishment for us. Unfortunately, that's the only time the Philippines ever won an Asian Baseball Championship. So So for various reasons, we've been struggling, and we've been trying to we've been playing catch up. We still have a long way to go, but we're trying to get there, right? We're working towards that. So PABA, Philippine Amateur Baseball Association, is the organization that runs baseball in the Philippines, basically. And a little bit more later on, I guess, background, but basically we organize the national teams. So for example, we're aligned with BFA. BFA gives us, Baseball Federation of Asia, gives us the tournament schedule, and we work on organizing the Philippine teams for each tournament that Baseball Federation of Asia is organizing, right? And we're a very active member. Historically, we've been a very active member. We've always had a seat on the board of Baseball Federation of Asia. My job as Secretary General is really to make sure that everything is running, right? So the national coaches, I coordinate with them. You know, we have a board of directors that appoints the national coaches, and then I have to coordinate with them, you know, talk to them about what they need. In many cases, I'm like a Major League Baseball general manager. So I talk to the coaches a lot about the lineup, who are the players that are going to be on the team. They recommend the players, and I bring it up to the board. I have discussions with the coaches, then I bring it up to the board. The board approves the selection of the players and so on. And there's a lot of other things that go along with that. You know, we buy equipment for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And we're recognized, by the way, PABA is recognized by the Philippine Olympic Committee. So we're a member of the Philippine Olympic Committee. And in fact, our president, his name is Chito Loizaga. Our president, Chito Loizaga, is a member of the board of the Philippine Olympic Committee. So we have a very close working relationship with Philippine Olympic Committee as well, right? We're also recognized by the Philippine Sports Commission, which is a government entity, and Philippine Sports Commission provides funding for sports, all sports in the Philippines, and they support particularly the elite athletes of the Philippines. You know, as an example, we have a very good pole vaulter right now, right? His name is EJ Obiena, and just the other day he was an announcement came out that he was ranked second in the world in pole vault, right? But he trains in Italy, so the government pays for all of his expenses, etc. In achieving that, and eventually, hopefully, he gets an Olympic medal. He hasn't won an Olympic medal yet, but eventually, hopefully, he will get one also, right? So there's you know, all the sports, track and field, swimming, weightlifting are involved. Baseball, fortunately, we are getting some funding from the Philippine Sports Commission, and they're helping us with their budget. We're basically paying for our teams to participate in tournaments abroad, and also to get equipment, balls, bats, shoes for the players, etc. Right? So we're doing all of that, right? And so yeah, it's a tough job, but but we're managing so far. Yeah, we're now okay. The big thing is we need to sort of get closer to Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. That's the big job for us. Is we want to become competitive, right? And that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but we'll try. We'll give it a try. So.
So how did you get involved? Are you from the Philippines originally? And how did you get involved with baseball?
Yes, I am Filipino.
Okay.
Although I have an interesting background because I was actually born in Japan.
Really?
And then And then my father was working for a Spanish company. Our background is Spanish. So my grandparents were all born in Spain. My father, though, was born in the Philippines. And same with my mother. They were born in the Philippines from Spanish parents. And eventually we acquired Filipino nationality, Filipino citizenship. So I'm Filipino.
Okay.
Although I do have close ties with Spain. My sisters live there, but basically I'm here. I'm here, and now baseball background. I'm not sure. I saw my first baseball game on TV when I was still in Japan, when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old. I moved to the Philippines when I was 5 years old, but at some point when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I said, I went to the park nearby, and there was a guy who was the guy that was in charge of maintenance in the community that I lived in. Also happened to be a baseball player. In the afternoon, when he finished his duties for the day, he was teaching the kids to play baseball. I was just one of them. So eventually I had to tell my, hey, you have to buy me a glove. I told my father, you have to get me a glove, get me a ball, you have to get me a bat. Otherwise, I can't do it. So that's how it started. And then I played through, Little League, and eventually I even played in the Philippine Commercial League. It was called Manila Bay Baseball League, which was very popular in the 1950s up to the 1970s. And it's interesting because the top Filipino teams were there, and they were playing with American teams from the U.S. bases in the Philippines, right? Especially during the period 1965 to 1975, where we had the Vietnam War, and the American, so Subic Bay Naval Base and Clark Air Base would form their own teams, and they would join the Filipino League, and we would be playing with the kids. I remember myself playing baseball in the Sangley Point U.S. Naval Base. So I played with the American kids there, right? We had a very nice league where we would travel, within, let's say, 2 hours distance from Manila. So my team would travel to different parts within the 2-hour radius and play games. And one of those was against the Sangley Point U.S. Naval Base, right? There was a U.S. Embassy team as well in our league. So yeah, that was my baseball background as a kid.
You mentioned, you played in, was it Sangley Naval Base?
Yes.
What I wanted to know was, did you guys come out on top?
Yeah, well, in that league, my team finished 3rd place, right?
There you go.
And my out of 10 teams, right?
Okay.
But the 1st place team was the Canlubang team. And Canlubang, that's another baseball story by itself, right?
Is that a Filipino team?
It's a Filipino team, but
okay.
But they had their background. Canlubang is a sugar mill, which is just about an hour from where I am, right? And they used to have a sugar mill, and they used to have a sugar plantation, and the team was formed of kids who were plantation workers and kids of the factory workers and the plantation workers were the players. Now, the Canlubang sugar mill was owned by Americans until the Japanese invaded the Philippines, right? Then after the war, unfortunately, the American owners, there were killed during the war, and Filipinos took over the owners. So the baseball culture was already established inside the sugar mill compound. In fact, they had a very nice stadium in those days, and for me, that was one of the highlights of my Little League career, was playing on that field. When I said my little league years were between 1969 and 1972. Yeah, it was really, it was really a treat. Yeah, going there to play. So that's Canlubang, and Canlubang historically is where the best players in the Philippines have come from. Although in the last 20 years, that has not been the case. There are other regions that are now supplying good players to the Philippine team. But in those days, in the 1960s and the 70s, the best players came from Canlubang.
So that's actually something I'm curious about. How big is baseball just in general in the Philippines, with the general population? And then what is the level of talent like of people playing the game there?
Yeah, well, the best measurement, I guess, is how we perform in Asian competition, right? And for the last roughly 30 years, our ranking in Asia is 5th, right? 1 would be Japan, 2 would be Taiwan, 3 would be Korea, 4 is China, and then we're 5th. Although, back in 2019, we won against China in the Asian Baseball Championship, right?
Okay.
So no, fantastic accomplishment, because that was the first time we beat China since the early 1990s, right? So we're kind of looking forward that maybe, unfortunately, I should say that in 2019 we developed a lot of momentum, right? And then during wait, just a moment.
No problem.
Just a moment.
You're
That
fine.
was our that was one of our baseball coaches calling. So I'm gonna delay him for now. But anyway, what's this? Yeah, 2019 we had a lot of momentum because we had a good performance in the Asian Baseball Championship, beating China. Our women's team finished 3rd place. We have a women's baseball team, and they finished 3rd place in Asian Championship. Number 1 was Japan, number 2 was Taiwan, and the Philippines got 3rd place. China got 4th, right? And then we had the Southeast Asian Games, wherein Philippines won. Our team won against, in the championship game was against Thailand. Indonesia is a good team also. And then we were invited to the World Baseball Classic, and we were, through January and February of 2020, we were busy organizing our team. We were recruiting Filipino players who lived in America but had Filipino backgrounds, right? That included Tim Tebow was supposed to join us.
Yeah.
Okay. Simply because he was born in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
His parents were missionaries in the Philippines. And he was born in the Philippines, so we were able to. And he was still in the middle of his baseball, although, right? So we were trying to. So unfortunately, we had our airline tickets, were ready to go. Just 4 days before we were going to take off, they canceled it because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we were not able to go. So that canceled that, and COVID messed up a lot of things for us, because for the last for 2020, 21, and 22, we had no baseball activities, right? We were finally allowed to go back to the field in the middle of 2022, and our first tournament was just last April. We had the East Asia. The Philippines played in the East Asia Cup in Thailand, right? That was our first tournament since COVID. So basically, we're at that point where we're trying to regain our momentum that we lost, right, in 2020. So far, yeah, so good. At least we won the East Asia Cup, and that was against there's one more team added compared to the Southeast Asian Games. So it was against Indonesia, Thailand, and Hong Kong. Hong Kong was the team that was added. So yeah, we won that one. And the main thing with winning that tournament is we're now qualified to play in the Asian Baseball Championship, which will be in December of this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you brought up the World Baseball Classic, and I know one of the questions that was floating around during the qualifiers this last time was, like you said, you were all set to play in the 2020 qualifiers before they got canceled. You guys played in the 2016 qualifiers. How come you guys weren't involved in the 2022 qualifiers? You were replaced by Argentina, right?
Right. We were replaced by Argentina. Right. And well, yeah, we informed Major League Baseball. We were disappointed about that. The main reason that we were removed was to give Argentina an opportunity, because their program has been improving, right? Our problem was our world ranking was very low at that point in time, right? So that's something we have to work on, because we have to get our world ranking up. We have to go higher, right? Currently, we're number 42. Okay, and Pakistan is number 40. So that's why Pakistan got to the World Baseball Classic instead of us. Right?
Okay.
Although historically Philippines has never lost to Pakistan. So
yeah, I was going to say Pakistan seems comparatively undeveloped, at least compared to Philippines.
Yes, baseball wise, I think we're ahead. We're ahead. Particularly what's developed in the Philippines is our Little League, our youth programs. We have Little League, we have Pony League, and we send Little League and Pony League teams to competitions in the US. So in the youth side, we're in very good shape. We have a very good grassroots program. Another big thing is the Department of Education. The Philippine Department of Education has an annual event called the Palarong Pambansa. In Filipino, which is translated into English, is National Games. So Philippine National Games. And this is for high school youth and also for elementary school youth. So basically the competitions are for 12 and under and 18 and under, right? And so that's going to happen actually in the first week of August, the Palarong Pambansa. So there will be teams from all over the country. I think total of 10 teams in the high school baseball competition will play for a week to determine the national champion of the Philippines. So we're in good shape there. Pakistan, I have to give them a lot of credit, because they have a very enthusiastic head of their organization in Pakistan. So they're very active, and they don't skip any opportunities to join tournaments. So as a result, they garner points. So they're not as developed, but they're doing a fantastic job where they are. Right. What we have to do is keep pace and be at minimum as active as they are. Right. One thing that hurt us is that we did not send the team to the 2018 Asian Games. Right. And the Asian Games carries with it a lot of points. Right. For example, Pakistan earned 180 points because they joined the 2018 Asian Games. Now, next Asian Games happens this year, 2023, and the Philippines is in. We're going to participate. So
excellent.
We'll get this year's a busy year for us. We had the East Asia Cup. The Asian Games will be in September. It will be held in China, and then we have the Asian Baseball Championship in December. So we do have a chance to gain a lot of points by participating. And I mean, just to give an example, way back in 2012, the Philippines was ranking number 25 in the world, right? So, which is probably, I think right now our skill level of the Philippine team should put us between 20 to 30, somewhere
Okay.
within that range. I think we can be competitive against teams like Spain, Germany, who else? Czech Republic.
There's something that I've been looking at here. I pulled up American baseball players of Filipino descent.
Oh, there's
Yes.
some good
And
ones. There's some
yeah,
good ones.
not all of them are active. Like Tim Lincecum he's been out of baseball for a while.
Yes.
But like some of the names on here, like Colton Wong's on here, Anthony Volpe, Travis and Chase Darno.
Yes.
Even somebody like Addison Russell, I think, still plays in either Japan or Korea. So like if you guys got into the World Baseball Classic, like there's no shortage of world class talent for you guys to pull on in addition to the domestic players you have.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
it definitely seems like you guys would be in a good position.
Right.
Maybe come next World Baseball Classic. I mean, Anthony Volpe, pretty well regarded. He
Yes.
he
Yeah.
uses our bats, so I want him to be good so that we can make money off him. But I mean, I feel like for a lot of people, the Philippines isn't like a stereotypical baseball nation.
Yeah.
But like if
Yeah.
you think about it, I mean, the history of the Philippines is not like, in terms of like baseball, at least, it doesn't seem like there's any reason it would be dramatically different from a place like Korea or Japan or what else am I thinking? Even like Taiwan.
Yeah.
Like these are,
Yeah.
they're countries that have had a U.S. military presence. They're
Yes.
countries that are in Japan's kind of orbit nowadays. So there's the Japanese have, at least our understanding from talking to other people, is the Japanese are big on baseball outreach.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
does seem like there's a lot of really solid ground to keep building the Philippines up and get back
Yes.
to where you guys belong.
Yes.
Because
That's
40th seems like it feels like you guys are confident that you won't be there for long. What is it, 42nd?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, just by being active this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
25 to 30 is within reach.
Mm-hmm.
So the big job will be how to get into 20 and below, right? That would be the big challenge, because then,
Right.
our players will have to bring themselves up to another level, right?
Right.
Now, how we accomplish that, well, that's the next challenge, right? That would be
Right.
the next. Our first job is to get back to, let's say, at least number 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first job, and hopefully well below 30, right? But then the
Right.
next job is, how do we give Japan, Korea, and Taiwan a better game, right? That's going to be the next challenge down the road. So yeah.
So I want to go back to the World Baseball Classic really quick, because I just assumed that, the pandemic, something came up, it got messed up, whatever. So you're saying that MLB basically called you guys up and said, hey, you're out. We have another team we want in instead?
Yeah, basically that's what happened.
Man, I had no idea.
They did you dirty.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have to respect their decision, because after all, it's MLB's show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to, work within their constraints, or I guess at the end of the day, it would be better if World Baseball Classic involved everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
That actually, I felt nervous about being invited, even in the past World Baseball Classics, because I didn't know whether we really deserved to be there, right? So why not there be a qualifying tournament, or they could use, let's say, the Asian Baseball Championship as the basis, right? For example, let's say, Japan, Korea, Taiwan will always be there, right? But then, let's just say, give Asia 4 slots, or give Asia 5 slots, or maybe even 6 slots, right? And then let the teams fight it out. Let the teams play on the field to determine who goes to the World Baseball Classic. I think that would be that would be or like, for example, we have West Asia Championship, right? Or West Asia Cup, and we have the East Asia Cup, right? The Philippines won the East Asia Cup. Pakistan won the West Asia Cup. So, for example, MLB could say, okay, whoever wins the West Asia Cup or whoever wins the East Asia Cup gets a slot in the World Baseball Classic. Something along those lines, right? I think that, well, at least, you're giving the teams a chance to aim for that, right? And the idea was, let's get a chance to, win or lose our invitation to the World Baseball Classic. Let's win or lose it on the field, right?
Yeah.
That's the. So let's say, if the qualifying competition was established and we lose, okay, we lost it on the field, so we just have to get back to it next time, right? But at least if we win, then, because the thing that I missed from 2020 was we were bracketed with Spain, Germany, Czech Republic in the World Baseball Classic qualifying, and I was really looking forward to playing them because I feel that our team was very competitive, right? With those teams. Those would have been fantastic games and fantastic learning experiences for our players, right? I mean, we had a team that was evenly split. We had 14 players that were naturally developed in the Philippines, with 14 Filipino American players from the US, right? So that it would have been interesting to see how that team would perform. I'm a little wary of Czech Republic. Yeah, they had a catcher who used to be the Orioles, Cervenka.
Yeah, Cervenka.
He's really good.
He's a beast. He's hitting like 700 in the Czech league this year. You mentioned that you guys were hoping to get in, or you were in the qualifiers in the previous World Baseball Classic with not Great Britain, with Czech Republic, Germany, Spain, and one of the
yes.
Sorry. Oh, okay. One of the things that came to mind for me when I heard that was we saw in this year's World Baseball Classic that it can really kind of supercharge a country's baseball program.
Yeah.
Just getting in there and having an opportunity to make a run. So is this something where, like, even if you guys are able to just play in the World Baseball Classic and, be on the field with teams like Japan or Korea, like, I mean, you have to be looking at a big jump in interest. You'll probably get more funding, I would think. So that has to be like the goal you're chasing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Correct. I mean, that's where, well, there's a lot of things that I think we can do in baseball. There's a lot of opportunity. Say we're very good with the grassroots, right?
Right.
What we don't have is we don't have a commercial, semi-professional league right now.
Right.
And we need to graduate towards that. We actually have a very competitive college baseball league. It's only composed of 6 teams, right?
Okay.
And that's where all of the national team comes from, our national team comes from the college baseball league, right?
Mhm.
There's two other college leagues that have about maybe in total about 8 or 9. But the main one is called the Universities Athletic Association of the Philippines. And there are 6 universities that have baseball teams. And very competitive. It's very, it's fun to watch, right? Those games. And they're able to televise some of their games. So there is some interest there. But yeah, we need to build on that. There's
Mhm.
a lot of work to be done. The problem is the college players, if they're not selected for the national team, they have to go out and find jobs,
Right.
right? And so 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 that's the end of that's basically the end of their baseball. So yeah, it's something that we need to build on, and hopefully one day we could have a commercial or semi-professional league here that perhaps could even build up into a professional league. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that seems to be a little bit, going back to the Czech Republic. I mean, that seems to be a little bit the direction that Extra League is headed in.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
It's been done. It can be done,
Yeah. That's right.
And,
that's right.
Another thought I had was, Ethan, help me out on the details of this, but I know Korea put a team in the Australia Baseball League that I think is sort of like a KBO prospect team.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
there
young guys? Yeah.
Yeah, is there any opportunity for Filipino players to travel to ABL or maybe even put a team over there? I mean, I think do they have an odd number of teams right now? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do, because the two Atara folded.
Yeah. I mean,
right. Yeah. I'm not sure about the Australian system, right? I'm not familiar with, don't have much contact with Australia at the moment. But certainly, yeah, I think that's an option, right? No, the other opportunity is that in Clark, the former U.S. Air Force Base, right? There is a Korean community that has taken hold there, right?
Okay.
And there's a Filipino investor that put up 6 baseball fields, and those 6 baseball fields are used for Koreans to come to the Philippines during their winter. So January, February, March, the Koreans are there, right?
Okay.
So we've had exchanges where our local teams have had played against the Korean kids, because these are basically Korean high school kids. I think some college teams, right? And so it's basically what Korean spring training. They do it here, right? There's a couple of models that I'd like to see, hopefully, right? One is maybe, Japan, Korea, Taiwan might want to do spring training, for example, in the Philippines, right? Or the other thing is, the other model I'd like to look at is that we have a league in the Philippines in December, January, that could one day be similar to the leagues in the Caribbean, like Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Mexico, wherein we maybe some of the Filipino American players who are trying to get to the major leagues, right, might come home to the Philippines and play with our kids, right? Or perhaps we could tie up with Japan professional baseball, Nippon professional baseball, Korea and Taiwan, and perhaps we can establish teams here that a relationship with teams in Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, wherein some of their young players play with our kids, and in some sort of professional, so our kids develop playing with them and so on, right? So those are things, right? a winter league. Let's call it a winter league. Wherein they come over and maybe even tie up with Major League Baseball that some of the as an option they can come to the Philippines instead of Venezuela or Dominican Republic, right? So those are the things. Those are the things that hopefully we can. The guy that was trying to call me a while ago, his name is Oscar Marcelino. We brought him here as program director for Philippine baseball, and he used to be a minor league batting instructor of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, right?
Luis Gonzalez hitting coach.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Luis Gonzalez, but who's the manager of Milwaukee now?
Craig Counsell.
Craig Counsell was one of his students.
There you go. He taught him that stance.
Yeah, good black.
Yeah. I think maybe. I don't know what kind of work he did with him, but anyway, so he's with us now, right? And then recently we also somebody came in also. His name is Vince Sagisi. He's also born in the Philippines. By the way, both of them, Oscar Marcelino and Vince Sagisi, were born in the Philippines and they went to the United States. Vince Sagisi was Cleveland Indians scout for 8 years.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And he's still doing scouting independently right now, right? And he came over and so we've got those two guys helping us out with our program, at least bringing their experience in Major League Baseball here to the Philippines, so they can help us learn a few of the things that we need to learn, right? From MLB, right? So yeah, let's see. Hopefully, Oscar Marcelino told me, not recently. I met him in the early 2000s, so sometime about 2004, 2005. He told me about how Major League Baseball adopted Dominican Republic, right? To the point that today, each Major League team has at least one town in Dominican Republic where they develop baseball, right?
Right.
So that's what that model came to my mind also, which is what if an MLB, maybe not necessarily all MLB teams, but what if an MLB team with strong Filipino community among their fans, let's say San Francisco Giants or Los Angeles Dodgers, would establish something similar here, that they would adopt a town in the Philippines, maybe send some coaches over, help out with equipment, right? And get a program going, and so that the kids can develop, and then eventually we could have several teams which are, let's say, MLB affiliated, right? And then they become farm teams in the future, and maybe some homegrown Filipino talent players eventually make it to the major leagues directly, right? So just like what happened with the Dominican Republic, right?
Right.
So that's one of the opportunities I think that still exists, right? And that could help us out a great deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to Australia for just a second, I mean, I know that MLB teams have similar relationships with ABL teams. So that does seem like a strong possibility if you guys are able to get that going. I mean, it's worked out obviously for the Dominicans, and we're starting to see some homegrown Australian players show up in MLB as well. So
that's right. Yeah.
So that sounds like a good idea for sure. I mean, if you want my professional opinion, obviously.
Because I have a question, a little bit unrelated about just roster construction, right? Because you were talking about To have it how Tim Tebow was set to play. We talked about, Travis d'Arnaud and Tim Lincecum and some high profile major leaguers who've played.
Yes.
How do you go about let's talk about the World Baseball Classic, because that's the one where you can get the most creative, I guess, with the roster. How do you go about getting a hold of these guys, gauging their interests, seeing if they want to play, and then putting together a roster?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tim Tebow signed up, right? I mean, at this point in time, it's really more, they're more like volunteers, right?
Right.
There's really no compensation, right? Because we really don't have a business model right now to generate additional funds, right? We cannot pay players, right? Actually, the first step that we want to do is actually, let's say if we were invited to the World Baseball Classic tomorrow, the first thing I'd like to do is, for example, that in 2020 we were supposed to go to Arizona, right? We were actually thinking of having a training camp for our players, maybe at least say 2 weeks in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
I think that's where we would put our money in, is establishing a training camp, go to a baseball field in Los Angeles, and then have maybe 2 weeks, because what happened in the previous World Baseball Classics, the coaches and the players basically met each other in the hotel when they arrived, and they only had one practice session before the tournament started. So there was no opportunity to gel the team, get the team. So regardless of who we recruit at the end of the day, right? It's important to have the guys get together, talk to each other, chat with each other for a few days, and then for the coaches to see what position each player can contribute in, right? So I think that would be our priority, is to get that in, right? As far as players, there's plenty of players wanting to play for the Philippines.
Right.
US-based Filipino American players. There's going to be a lot. I mean, I'd love to have Anthony Volpe play for the Philippines, right? Travis d'Arnaud, he declined our invitation back in 2020, but he had just signed a contract with the Braves at that time. So I think he was focused on getting into shape for the Atlanta Braves that year, right? And so eventually, Atlanta Braves won the World Series. So I think the Braves were pretty happy with that. But I mean, there are so many players in the U.S. Filipino American, and we also have Filipino Japanese potential players as well, who could play for us in the World Baseball Classic. So it's we have one player right now, by the way. His name is Carrion. He plays in Japan. He was born in Japan, but he did not qualify for a Japanese passport. Both his parents are Filipino, so he carries a Philippine passport, and he will play with us in the Asian Games. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. He would have played with us also in the World Baseball Classic in 2020 if it pushed through, right? So I mean, we have plenty of players, I think, that are wanting to play for the Philippines, and especially in the World Baseball Classic. So
and I bet again, much like the Czech team, if you guys are able to get through qualifiers, you might see some of the guys who were reluctant, they might start to change their mind a little bit as well.
Yes, sure.
So it sort of snowballs, right?
Sure, it snowballs. Yes, agree. Yeah.
We've been talking about the World Baseball Classic a lot, which I love. I'm super into the World Baseball Classic, and Tom is too. And it sounds like that's sort of, the pinnacle of what the Philippine national team is trying to reach. So what exactly is the path to getting into the next qualifying tournament? Is it just go out and rank a little higher in some upcoming tournaments, or do you have to maybe hope that another team drops down? Like, what exactly is the path to getting back in?
Yeah, well, for me, definitely, we have to work on our ranking, right? Unfortunately, the last one, was a bad situation because we were coming out of COVID and there were no tournaments. And what happened is that the Asian countries did not have a tournament throughout 2020, 21, and 22. There were no Asian tournaments. So Asian teams suffered, right, in the world rankings, because the Europeans continued playing in 2021, or they restarted in 2021 and 2022. So they were gaining points. So you will see, if you go to the world baseball rankings, you will see that they earned a lot of points in 2021 and 2022, and they pushed ahead in the rankings as a result of that, right? Also, South America, South America was playing, and they also moved up in the rankings as well, right? So yeah, this year, 2023, we're finally back. And we're finally active. Yeah, you'll see the Asian countries now gaining the points this year, and they're going to start making some moves, moving up in the rankings. So I mean, that has to be our plan, is make sure that to make it impossible for MLB not to invite us. So that's our main objective, right? I would hope, though, that at some point in the future, a qualifying system could develop, right, where you have a qualifier to get into the qualifier, right? And I mean, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that, right? We have the East Asia Cup, we have the Asian Baseball Championship, we have the Asian Games, so maybe that could form the basis for, because I'm sure MLB wants to see more Asian countries outside of Japan, Korea, and Taiwan coming into the World Baseball Classic. So they may give Asia more opportunities to play, right? So
yeah, well, that makes perfect sense, and it is exciting because I personally want to see 40-year-old Tim Lincecum come out and throw at the Baseball Classic. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: what's the best way that somebody not in the Philippines, like me and Tom, can support, keep an interest in, keep up with baseball in the Philippines?
I mean, in terms of just knowledge, right, or just to learn about what's going on, we have an Instagram page, we have a Facebook page, right, and where we need to improve on that, though. We need to we put a lot of our activities on there, so for people who want to see get a feel for what's going on, you see it there. But there's still room for improvement for us, right? So we recently hired somebody to work on our Facebook and Instagram and make that better, right? And I think other than that, I think it's just getting the message across that baseball is alive and well, right? That there is a lot of baseball, and you'll be surprised where baseball exists in the Philippines. I think there's plenty of opportunities. So, and even for people that would like to play here or even coach here, there's plenty of opportunities for that as well, right? Our youth programs, they need, they're very well established, but there's always room to teach the kids a higher level of skills, right? So that's always going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, in any country, just because of the way the game's evolving at the MLB level, I mean, there will always be a need for improved instruction, even in a country where, you know, maybe they're not playing at the MLB level now, but if you know, you're going to want to send some players over there. They are, you know, again, the game's always evolving. So that is something you're going to have to account for, I would assume.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So is there anything we didn't touch on about Filipino baseball or anything like that you think is should be known?
No, I think we covered a lot of the ground, right?
Yeah.
Let me just add one more thing is you know, it's I mean, just in case people that are listening to this are wondering, is baseball exists not only in Manila, in the Manila area, but it exists basically, you know, almost anywhere where there was a sugar mill or sugar industry that was owned by Americans, there was baseball played, right? So north of Manila, there's a place called Florida Blanca where there's very active baseball, and there was a Hawaiian-owned sugar mill there at one point, which is closed down, but the kids still play baseball, right? The last month or so, we've been forming our 15 and under team for the Asian Baseball Championship for 15 under, and you know, we have a kid that tried out from Mountain Province, which is like, if I were to get on my car now and drive there, to take me about 10 hours to get there, right? And there's a kid from there who's pretty good, and he's in from a town called Sagada, where in you know, during the American colonial period, the Episcopalian church set up over there. They put up a church and they started teaching the people there about the religion, and they also brought baseball there. Right. So a lot of kids there playing baseball. You know, northern Luzon, and then Mindanao, Davao, General Santos. There's a lot of good baseball being played there as well. So you know, it's not just Manila, right? So Manila, the real hotbed for baseball is south of Manila, which is the provinces of Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna, where we have a lot of baseball being played. But it's not just there. So it's nationwide, right? Yeah.
Which it definitely, I can only imagine that gives you guys a big leg up, because a lot of countries are trying to build that, you know, foundation, and you guys sound like you already have a good one in place. So that's a great thing.
Yeah. We just need to push ourselves, you know, to get to that next level. Right now, we're losing against Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. The typical score might be 10-0, right? So we'd like to make that 7-5 or 7-4 score at the end. Even if we lose, at least we gave them a scare. That's where we want to. That's where we want to be. You know, that's what we need to work on, right? So
well, it sounds like the future of baseball in the Philippines is really exciting, and thank you for sharing all this, because I really didn't know anything about it. And I don't think a lot of Americans are probably in the same boat. So thank you for coming on and explaining it. Let's just check in a little while and see how things are growing. I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see how the march back to the World Baseball Classic is going to go. So that's
we need to go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
We need to be there. We need to be there. Yeah.
I want to see it. I'm on the Tim Lincecum train. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, Pepe, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for educating us, man. This has been great. Pepe, thanks for coming on. That was a blast. I learned so much because I didn't know anything to begin with. So thank you for explaining. Thank you for explaining the story of Filipino baseball. Exactly. The story of Filipino baseball, what's going on now. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the World Baseball Classic. I really want the Philippines to do well, because I don't really have a vested interest in the Philippines or Argentina, so I don't particularly care if Argentina does well. But I really—
Are you saying you don't have a dog in this fight?
I don't have a dog in this fight, but I really like that the Philippines could recruit a bunch of known guys like Tim Lincecum. Jason Bartlett, I remember, was on that list.
Yeah.
Like the Darno brothers, stuff like
The
that.
Wongs.
Yeah, Tim Tebow, obviously. So I think that would be really exciting if they get in the World Baseball Classic and just see how wacky they can get with their roster. Maybe Argentina could do the same thing, but I really like the idea of the Philippines just sort of going off the rails, sort of doing the Team Israel thing and just having a million guys with name value. So I'm definitely pulling for
Right.
They also
I have to point out really quick while this is on my mind. You were like, yeah, let's see what kind of wacky things they can do with their roster. And I just immediately pictured them coming out in like that mid 2000s like Burger King vibe, when Burger King was just like, oh, we're gonna have all zany colors everywhere. We're gonna be purple and orange and like teal. Like, and now that's my vision for the future of Filipino baseball is they qualify.
Yeah,
they qualify in like bowling alley carpet uniforms.
Yeah, I like this idea, but yeah. I do really want to see them succeed. One, because Pepe was really nice, and now I like the Philippines. But also because I just want to see them get crazy with their roster. Philippines went a bit crazy with their roster. Sorry, I can edit it out.
Yeah, they got zany. You know, don't edit it out. Like,
all right, I'll leave
the fans know this is who you are.
All right, yeah, I'll leave in the Pete Davidson Taco Bell reference. But anyway, I have one more thing I want to do before I go eat. Tom.
Okay, what's that?
I think anybody listening to this podcast probably knows, but the baseball world has been taken by storm by Immaculate Grid. And really fast, just for anybody who doesn't know, they give you like a 3x3 grid, so it's 9 spaces, and then on the top row you'll have 3, it'll be either teams or accomplishments, so it'll be like Phillies, Tigers, and then like 30 plus homers in a season, something like that. And then it'll be the same way down, and you have to fill in each grid with a player who was on both of those teams that intersects, or like it had that accomplishment and was on one of those teams. It's very simple. It's a lot of fun. And with baseball, because we're sickos, we have no problem filling out a grid. I started doing grids for other sports, and I'm terrible. Football and basketball, I can get about halfway through a grid. Hockey, I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 guys. Although I got 3 guys on my hockey grid yesterday, so I was impressed.
Well, what were the Flyers on there?
No, it was stars. It was like Jordan Stahl and Jerome McGinley and one other guy, I think.
Stars like the Dallas Stars, or
no, like star players.
Dude, that would have been news to me if you were like, I'm actually a little bit of a Dallas Stars fan.
No, I got McGinley because it was Flames Penguins, and I was like, okay, I know that one. But anyway, so we are no better than the rest of you, and we're playing Immaculate Grid. Us and Sharky, who will come on the podcast at some point, I think.
Yeah, eventually, whenever. You know what? Whenever we see fit. How about that?
And Nick, who was on the inaugural episode. So so we're sickos, and we've been playing it. And like, anybody can go. Well, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people can go on there and fill out, Carlos Santana, Reese Hoskins, Bryce Harper, known players. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're
Phillies Nationals. Oh, dude, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner.
Exactly.
Jason Worth.
We're crazy, and we have nothing better to do than to sit around and name random baseball players. So we, like a lot of other people out there, have decided to go for the lowest player we can think of and the most random player we can think of. And so
we're trying to break the rarity score record, which I may have done a few days ago.
Yeah, wasn't your rarity score like 9 the other day?
Yeah, I got a 9 on I think it was Wednesday.
Amazing. But so we have a group chat where we'll every day wake up and we'll put our screenshots of our grids in there and just laugh about it, because it's always full of randos. So I say from here on out, at least until if we get sick of Immaculate Grid or dies off or something, then we might stop. But at least for now, I say we share from that day that we're recording our favorite of the other person's grid. So like, just pick a player that we really like. So I can kick it off. I have Tom's grid up right now.
Okay.
And we don't need to go over the whole thing because that'll take forever.
Well, I do want to stress before people get the wrong idea. Okay. This is like when you show somebody someone's Facebook picture and they're like, they're a little weird looking. You're like, oh, that's a bad picture. Okay. Because this is not one of my finest grids.
Well, no, but you got a good one on here because you got 2 good ones on here.
Okay.
So initially I because I just went off the top of my head, what's the lowest score on there? And you got Rangers, Tigers, Joaquin Benoit, 0.5%. Nice. Okay, nice. Yeah. But as I'm looking this over, I really like Tommy Hansen at 1% for Braves Angels, but that's not my pick either.
Oh,
Rookie of the Year and MVP is a tough one because usually the guys who won those awards are pretty well known, or they're guys Rookie of the Year like Jeremy Hellickson and Angel Baroa, who aren't actually good. They're not going to win an MVP.
Right, yeah, who immediately faded into irrelevance.
You did a really good job, and I understand this guy was a star in his day, but you did a really good job of picking a player that just nobody remembers. Fred Lynn.
Fred Lynn.
Fred Lynn was really good. Fred Lynn was I went and looked him up. Really good player. Dude, you could have given me
a fantastic player.
Yeah, you could have given me 1,000 guesses. I was not going to come up with Fred.
You know why I picked him? Because I thought I am always confused whenever it's not teams, because sometimes it'll be like an award and like an achievement. It'll be like a 320 batting average for a season and MVP. And I'm always confused on, did they have to do both in the season? Or did they just did both at some point? And I happen to know that Fred Lynn won the MVP as a rookie, and he also won Rookie of the Year. So I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to check all the boxes with this one and put in Fred Lynn.
I had the same dilemma, and the only one I can come up with for that was Ichiro. I know he did that. And I was like, everybody's going to know Ichiro. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a cut here. And I went with Ryan Howard, and I got a cool 1%. He
Ryan Howard, probably one of the better picks you can have for rarity. But if we want to go to yours, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Tom, praise me.
So,
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
All right. So Ethan had a pretty good grid this time.
I got to pull up my grid.
I do want to point out some of my honorable mentions. Okay, Mark Fidrich. Okay. Jared Saltalamacchia.
Yeah.
All right. Casey Kochman for Angels Braves.
Casey Kochman I was particularly proud of.
Yeah, but you know what? None of them were my favorite, because you know who my favorite was? My favorite on your grid is Tigers Rangers Armando Galarraga at 0.4%. Now you did have Tigers Angels Jim Johnson, which that's like a marrow deep cut, but that one just didn't scratch my rando itch the way that Armando Galarraga did.
Yeah,
so that was my favorite. So let me do this right. My favorite was Armando Galarraga.
Beautiful.
And yes, I have acquired a few new drops. I'm keeping a couple of them in the chamber because we want to do a proper introduction for them. But until then,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So keep in mind that next episode maybe you'll find out about the new drops. But for those of you who want to engage in a little Immaculate Grid with us, we've been playing Elmer Descends, and I do want to point out Elmer Descends has shown up on, I believe, 2 of my grids so far.
I have used him.
I used them for Mets Reds and Pirates Reds.
Beautiful.
As soon as this game came out, I went right to his baseball reference, and I was like, I have to make sure I know what teams he played for.
I think Mets Reds, I used Michael Givens.
Yeah, you didn't use the Todd father.
No, that's too obvious.
That's too obvious. But you know what? I want to do an on-air Immaculate Grid.
Oh, well,
and I'm thinking that we have a guest for it.
I was going to say, ready? Yeah, let's not make this so easy on our audience. If you want to see an on-air Immaculate Grid, feel free to email us at thebaseballpod@gmail.com.
Or let me ask you this. Let's say they only have Twitter.
Okay.
Let's say they only have Twitter. How are they going to get a hold of us?
Well, luckily, our DMs are open at thebaseballpod too, I think. Is that right? Pretty sure that's right.
You know what? We'll wait. Why don't you double check it? Until then, we
need a Jeopardy theme drop. Yeah. All right.
Can you confirm?
I can. I'm waiting for you to cool it. Yeah, we can be found on Twitter at thebaseballpod too. Our DMs are open. We would love to hear from you. We would love to have someone on to share their Immaculate Grid with us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, Orvin, if you're out there playing Immaculate Grid, Why not come back on? I mean, dude was good at Elmer Descends.
Dude, Orvin was. I went back and listened to that like 2 weeks ago while I was walking the dog.
Yeah.
Orvin had some good names, man. I remember Sal Fasano was a good one.
Yeah.
Duncan.
Sal Fasano was it Sal Fasano or Corky Miller your submission for the original Elmer Descends game?
I have no idea.
Like years ago, because I remember
go one though.
I remember you put one of them forward, and I put forward Elmer Descends,
I think,
and I was the winner.
I think I put up Rocky Gale.
No, I mean we did throw out a lot of names, but we sort of had like a final, you know, like who's your final boss?
Yeah,
and
it might have been Corky Miller. I don't know.
And mine was Elmer Descends.
Yeah, Corky Miller. So.
Corky Miller would have won almost any other time.
Yeah,
like maybe he would lose to like Bob Wickman, you know. But like a lot of the time, Corky Miller's gonna come out on top.
Yo, I just want to point out Elmer Descends, friend of the pod.
Yeah, Don Benoit.
Yeah. See, it all comes full circle. Anyway, we've dragged this on. Immaculate Grids is the new thing. We're not above it. Please share your Immaculate Grids with us.
Yeah, in fact, arguably, we're beneath it.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent point. Another big thank you to Pepe Muñoz for coming on the show. Feel free to go express your interest in Filipino baseball. And
follow them on Instagram. I believe you said they have a Facebook page too.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description. So you guys should keep an eye on that. And we will see you on the next one.
Right. No.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Take it.
We don't podcast for what, 2 weeks, and you just forget.
How much more betrayal can I take?
You know what it is? I'm out of practice because I couldn't do it with Sean.
Excuses.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, all bad, buddy.
Yeah. I gotta be honest with you, dude. If I were to think of maybe somebody who I would assume is strong enough to give you the beating that you deserve for forgetting this, I would try to think of somebody with, strong forearms. Maybe a guy who played Major League Baseball.
I would describe them as rippling.
Yeah, and I think I have this guy on my mind, and I can't remember his name.
Oh, Tom,
Nothing.
what's his name?
I have no idea. I'm just kidding.
Maybe, man. I was gonna say maybe Marlins announcing greats, Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton could help us out.
Right. Well, they could. But I feel like you kind of ruined my thunder a little bit because I was building it up. I was going, no, I don't remember his name. I'm totally blanking. Just kidding.
His name is Dan Isla.
And that was how I was going to end it. And now I feel robbed again.
How much more betrayal can I take?
Well,
so guys,
a proper send-off.
Fans of the podcast, know now that I look at my co-host Ethan and I say,
I despise him.
And then I also say,
No!
But you know what? Until then, I want you guys all to know and keep in your hearts that
His name is Dan Isla.
And as always, he will see you on the next one.